You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant, and today have a longtime friend, has been on before when he's over at commercetools, Kelly Goetsch, and is now at Pipe17. And we got reconnected, I don't know, it seems like a few weeks ago, and then we ran into each other at Shop Talk, and it was kind of one of those, hey, we got to chatting, like there's things out there that need to be solved for. And I don't know, it was a great conversation. So I thought we would kind of jump into this, and we'd love to, well, first of all, I'd love to kick it over to you, like the background, where you ended up today. And then like we were talking about, I want to get into is the number of places that people are trying to sell on today, and what does that look like, and how has it changed, and how do people need to be doing it in a best in class manner, and all that fun stuff.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. It was good to see you. So background on me, I was an ATG architect for many years, spent some quality time at Oracle learning product management, went to commercetools as first CPO, was CPO for 6 years, and then chief strategy officer for 2, and just joined Pipe17 at the end of last year, where I am COO. And to answer your question, why I joined, I see a lot of opportunity to revolutionize order management in the same way that we at commercetools did the same for traditional monolithic head-on commerce platforms. So if you step back and look at where e-commerce is as an industry, you see a lot more selling channels than ever used to be. So it's the brand.com, but it's also marketplaces. Think of Amazon, think of Walmart, Costco. It's also social media. We're starting to see a lot more TikTok. We're seeing Shein and Temu. Those are both getting very popular. They each have, I think, north of 40 billion GMV apiece. So we see a lot more selling channels than ever before. And at the same time, Amazon has really increased customer expectations around delivery and fulfillment. And now if you're selling on your own brand.com and you're also selling on Amazon, you're probably selling the same good for the same price. At that point, you're competing on fulfillment. And if your brand.com offers delivery in 8 days and Amazon offers delivery in 8 hours, guess who people are going to go with, right? And what do brands want? Brands want margin. They want the direct relationship. So what you see is a lot more investment in physical infrastructure, more warehouses, more 3PLs, more of everything. I mean, when I started at Foot Locker, my first professional corporate job in 2004, they had one warehouse that served the entire country. Now they have 8, and they have 2 additional 3PLs on top of that. Because if you're ordering something from Phoenix, Arizona, they want something relatively within the same, quick truck ride away from there. And that makes a lot more sense than having to ship it from Wisconsin, where they originally had their warehouse. So when you combine many more selling channels and many more fulfillment channels, you add in some systems of record, think of your ERPs and your data warehouses, you've got a big connectivity problem, which is the foundational problem now in order management. And I don't think current solutions are solving it very well.
Okay, so tons to unpack here. So when we're thinking about order management, it's everything. Is it also like syndication of data, of pricing? Is it like, I'd love to dig into that, because what I'm seeing from brands today is, you're right, it's the TikToks, I think, of the world that are really pushing a lot of it right now. I know there's Temu and Shein, but that TikTok piece is where people are their ears are starting to prick up and say, yeah, I want to do that, but I don't know how, and I don't have the capacity. I need to understand how to process everything on that order, get it in and ship it and everything. And they don't have the capacity to do that. And so they know what's out there. They're looking for these additional sales channels. They just can't tackle it at this point in time. So is there like standard advice? Is that where you guys come in? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, generally you have to be where your customers' eyeballs are. And that's not a novel concept, but if you think about it in practice, everybody's paying a lot of money to Google and others to direct shoppers to brand.com. And I don't know about you, but my kids, they're 11 and 13. They think that shopping, if you go to the brand.com and then you click on the category page and then the product detail, like they think that's for old people, right? They just don't do that. Instead, they're in these big text messaging groups, and somebody will post a link to something that they bought, and then everybody else will just do the same thing. Or you see on social media, a lot of Facebook groups out there, or anywhere, right? That discovery is being increasingly done somewhere else. And with AI especially, AI is now where a lot of the discovery happens. And I do this personally. I'll take a photo of something and say, I need a screw that fits in this, right, for this part. Or, I'll give you another example. My wife has this Dyson vacuum, this cordless battery operated one. And I plugged in, the model number, what's the best cordless battery for this thing, right? And it gives me the answer, and it gives me a link to a product I can buy. So discovery is happening elsewhere. And I think that's where you see this big proliferation of selling channels, is people want to be where their consumers are. And consumers are not on the brand.com unless you pay a lot of money to send them to the brand.com. And even then, they don't convert very well.
So do you plug into the .com? Do you plug into the ERP? Like, how does all of this stuff get syndicated? Because people want to solve that problem. Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. This is super intriguing, because I think you're right. I think this is changing faster than anybody thought that it was going to change. And I completely agree with you, like, about how people, even kids, search. I mean, there was Charlie Cole was on, just, I don't know if you know Charlie or not. He's at a company, XGen AI, and how they fundamentally are changing search because people don't like the current search functionality or toggling through different things. Like, this is changing so quickly. People don't know how to keep up with it, but they want to be everywhere. And how do we solve it for them? I guess.
Yeah. So here's what we do at Pipe17. We operate in two modes. One is a full drop-in replacement for order management systems entirely. The other is it's our channel augmentation approach, where say you're on Sterling, and you really don't like it. And by the way, people don't like their OMSs generally. All right, it's right down there in NPS along with ERPs. So what we do is and the other one is you sit on top of a legacy OMS, and then we allow those folks to sell on new channels. So think of your TikTok, for example, right? But what we are generally is we are connectivity first, and connectivity at its foundational level allows for multiple nodes to communicate with each other. And we connect up selling channels with back office systems of record with fulfillment channels. And then on top of that, we have an AI-based routing layer that routes the orders between the different nodes in the network. So think of if we're going back to the OSI stack and networking, right? You've got Pipe17's connectivity layer offering the plumbing, the network layer. And then on top of that, you've got the routing layer, which is much more of an application layer. And that's more where the order management capabilities come in. But we're approaching this different than anyone else in the market, which is we're approaching it from a network standpoint. In the same way that if you want to talk, if you want to SMS with different phone numbers from around the world, you trust Twilio, right? And Twilio sits above all of this telephony infrastructure. So if a new, level 3 operator in Zimbabwe stands up a network, you can send a text message to somebody in that network because they sit over the top of it and they provide connectivity between the different nodes in the network. All right. You see the same thing with Stripe and banking. We do the same thing with e-commerce infrastructure. All right. We allow connectivity between these different systems. So we'll take the order from capture from a selling channel, and then we'll pass it to the ERP, other back office systems of record, and then we'll pass it to the best and most appropriate 3PL or WMS or physical warehouse, which could be least cost routing. It could be based on fastest delivery time. It could be, this warehouse is the only one that ships out cold stuff, right? It could be a lot of different factors.
Man, it's solving for all the things people hate doing.
Yeah, right? It is. And the approach is different because our customer success team does onboarding, and it's typically a couple-week engagement, one person. And all we're doing as a team is we're plugging in your API keys to our platform. And then at that point, you're tapping into the network It's not like a traditional iPaaS where you're taking an integration off the shelf, you're forking it, you're copying it, and then that becomes yours to fix. If UPS or Radial or Shopify or commercetools, if somebody changes one of their APIs, then we as a network operator change it centrally in one place, and all the nodes in our network can then benefit from that shared connectivity.
I mean, we're at a point where what you're talking about is now table stakes. You can't afford not to have this at a plugin level and anticipate growth, customer satisfaction, and everything else, and the openness to connecting to any potential new sales channel that may be coming out there.
Correct. And what you see is there's a big middle in the market where, the Best Buys of the world, they probably have an OMS. They definitely have an OMS. And I get that use case, right? They've got thousands of stores that make sense at that scale. And if you're selling, 10 million a year GMV, you're probably fine running off of spreadsheets or the little OMS that comes with Shopify, right? Whatever it happens to be. I get those use cases. But for that big meaty chunk in the middle, from 50 million GMV to let's call it a billion, they're bigger organizations. They have a back office. They have multiple warehouses to ship from. They have multiple selling channels. That's where I think a new approach to order management is required. And those folks will never buy an order management system. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the old days of like a channel advisor, the specific difference between a multi-channel listing tool, right? Where maybe it plugs into a PIM or a DAM and it's literally just listing, and it will look at orders as they come in. It can manage it, but it's not doing the in-depth and whatever it is now. What is Channel Advisor now? It's Rhythm.
Yeah. We're the back half of that. So they do product listing up. Mm-hmm. We do capture from selling channels back.
Right. Like, where is this going?
I don't know. I think we're onto something here. We've had a great Q1 so far. I think we're moving in the right direction. So we're starting to see some competitors copy our messaging, which is great. Love to see that. Would love to build out more of a category here. We're getting
people just want a simplification on the back end, right? There's a lot of, they also want something that's a little less expensive. I don't know where you guys fall, obviously, but the number one conversation I'm having today is all around profitability and then reaching additional markets. That's the reality. Is people are spending, consumers are spending less money, and they're on more expensive things. And so the traditional channels of what you've been hitting forever, they just don't cut it for the growth expectations that, executive teams, stockholders, whoever it might be, want, PE firms, whoever you're owned by. And so this need to hit additional channels is pretty much, like I was saying, it's pretty much table stakes at this point in time. You have to have the ability to do it. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, for sure. And as we see new selling channels enter the market, for a hot minute there, RedNote was an up and comer to TikTok. We had discussions about adding that, and if it lasted for longer than 3 days, we probably would have added that as a selling channel.
Yeah, like, what are you most excited about that's coming down the pipe? Because you've been like commerce, so you've been on this cutting edge, the headless thing, composable commerce, whatever we want to call it. Like, we have all these changes with AI. Like, what are you most excited about?
I think the big one for me is AI. And I look at my own personal behavior, and my own behavior has changed dramatically. And it used to be that I would go to Google something. If you look at Google now, it's pretty useless. It's all ads above the fold at this point. Google something, like a product that you're searching for. It's ad. I mean, it's literally the entire page is nothing but ads. It's the first page. And then as you scroll down, you see over SEO optimized gibberish from content farms. And then eventually you might get to the actual product. But it's a lot easier to just punch in what you want to ChatGPT. And look, I have no illusions. ChatGPT is going to suffer the same fate as Google at some point, because any good product out there gets overrun by advertising, and it's the cycle of life, right? It's just how things happen, right? It's the game. So I have no illusions that the same thing's not going to happen here. But I go to ChatGPT and I find what I want. I use it for discovery, comparing. We just bought a new washing machine. I did all of my entire washing machine search with ChatGPT, all of it. And then I got the model number, and then I went to Home Depot's website. I punched in the model number, and I hit express checkout on a washing machine. That's how I shop. And other times I'll just go to Google Shopping and I'll plug in the product ID and you'll see a product listing come up, of course, after all the ads. And then you just buy the product, right?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I use ChatGPT almost every day and for almost everything. I find restaurants now. We're taking the kids to a concert and it's an hour there. We're to get there, 2 hours beforehand. Where do we take, where should we go for dinner? And the interesting thing is it knows enough. I put enough info in there, whether we're planning vacations, which I do, ages of kids, what they like, Christmas list ideas, that it starts to get a feel for who I am, which was very intriguing, where it starts to then ask like, hey, should we, as I'm planning a 25th wedding anniversary, like vacation with the wife, right? Just us two. And it asked me, should we include plans for kids?
Wow.
Like,
it's spooky.
Wait, what? Like,
it's spooky.
No, but I was like really impressed that it has. It is creepy, but it's like it gets to that personal assistant, and to go down I ran into Firmly AI.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Spoke with them this morning, actually.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool stuff.
Where you can purchase right within Perplexity.
Yeah, it's impressive tech for sure. But I really think this is going to completely blow up how people shop today.
Oh,
we're just seeing it right now. And you can imagine a buy button right from AI. It makes perfect sense. We already see products pop up, but buy this thing right now with Apple Pay button needs to be there, and it will.
And I also see it going towards just completely voice commerce. Like I don't want to even type in, fat finger that on my phone, where you can just put on the voice mode and just talk back and forth. Like,
I love I think it's best if you combine voice mode, which I've used, along with something visual in front. And I've played with Bing Shopping. Copilot has this feature. And what you can say is like, okay, I want AirPods, right? And it'll give you all the AirPods, but it'll show you them visually. And you say, okay, I only want the newest version. And then I only want the ones with noise canceling, right? And as you're speaking, it refreshes the screen. That I think has legs. The challenge though is if you can't see anything at all, and that's fine for transactional items, adding sugar to your shopping list, fine, but probably not like buying a high value item. That's the challenge.
Yeah, but if I can just reorder, things like that, or reorder a pair of shoes, or I want the same shirt that I just ruined, whatever, spilled spaghetti sauce on it. Like if I could just do that and just cut everything else out and not have to type anything in, I'm cool with that. And I know that's like, it's going to be totally crazy. It's going to be like that movie, Her, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes. Where I just got an earbud in, I'm just talking back and forth. Like I'm excited about that. That it's going to be crazy. It's the adoption too. I think not only do we see this technology churning faster and faster and faster, but the younger generation is adopting it faster and faster and faster. And they're more comfortable. It's not like, we're going to wait a decade for AI, right, to start really taking over, because we have to wait for people to age out. This new generation is going to adopt it faster than ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. They already are. My kids use it every single day. It's amazing what it can do. But yeah, it will change shopping quite fundamentally, quite quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I've been asking you a bunch of questions. Any questions you have for me?
Yeah, I'd love to hear, in your work, you're doing a lot of thought leadership and getting people to attend webinars and things like that. Have you ever looked at any of the AI outbounding tools, like 11 Labs with its voice clone technology? hook it up to Vappy, is there a virtual errand floating around out there that's calling people right now?
Oh, no. But should there be? I don't know. I mean, everything that we try to do is bespoke. So just I'm talking with brands and I want to know, hey, what are you interested in? Right. Which is when we started talking about like Pipe17 was like, this is something that people need, and they need real time. So let's jump on a podcast. If I'm doing a webinar, it's the same type of thing where the same topics I try to talk to 20 to 30 brands a week and get from that. And then it's very bespoke, but it's interesting. Is there a way we should have a follow-up conversation on this? Because would it be possible to take all the webinars? I'll moderate over 100 webinars this year.
Wow.
Could you take in and ingest all of that and then, yes, have an easy channel for people to go and search in and get answers from the podcast rather than me? And maybe it's a virtual me, like guiding them through it. You've got my brain going here, Kelly. You've got my brain.
Yeah, this is so much to think about, honestly.
What would you do if you were me? Like, what would you? How would you approach it?
It's tough because you have a very bespoke service, as I'll attest to. If you try to automate it, it's probably going to go away. The challenge is you're going to get some 17-year-old kid in Indonesia who clones your voice and then creates a copy of your entire firm. And that, it's usually not people modernizing themselves. It's somebody coming in and changing the rules of the market for them, right? That's how innovation typically happens. I
almost feel like I'm obligated though, because I am talking with, in the brands, I'm asking them. So not only what are the topics, but who are the newest people? Who are the people doing the coolest stuff? Like, who would you want to share with your, circle of influence in e-commerce? And it's those people that pop up that are cutting edge. Well, should I be doing the same thing, right? Should I be sitting there cutting edge? You've got my brain thinking. Like, what would that mean? And I guess for me is I need to go look at all the different AI that's popping up. Like some of these ones you mentioned, I've never heard of. But
yeah, I would check out. Firmly is really interesting. Simulate, CIMULAT AI is really interesting. That's John Andrews' most recent startup. XAI, I think, is really doing some interesting things. There are quite a few options out there right now. A lot of cutting edge work, and who knows? 3/4 of these companies could be dead in 6 months. That's what happens. But one of them could also be the next Google, which can also happen. So,
yeah, we are. I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now is when we talk about churning in companies is, the last version of AI was just rules based, and now there's a lot of AI machine learning put on top of this tech that's rules based. And so you're teaching the AI to solve your rules to get to an answer. And this next generation of AI and machine learning that's coming out is just solving for the answer. Yeah. And so there's going to be a quick phasing out. And then what's going to phase out that one? Because maybe it's the next Google or maybe it's gone in 6 months. Wow. This has been super fun, my friend.
I almost feel like we need a beer in hand to be having this discussion properly.
Yeah, this was, when we started just recording this, it was that I just wanted to get it in because it's usually it's these very, very casual conversations that I think people listen and really learn a lot from. So anyways, Kelly, thanks so much for your time today. Thank you. Thanks for your support over the years of the network and the brands that are in it. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Thanks everybody for listening in. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.